Greetings, beautiful people. So I have the song in my head right now. I don't know if you guys ever heard it. I had the time of my life, and I owe it all to you. Dirty Dancing, okay? Now, what's funny is that certain songs come into my mind and whatnot, and I mean, I don't know if maybe I must have heard the song in the background somewhere, or if I didn't, but whatever it may be, okay? The song in and of itself, you see, I'm watching a video that was so, I mean, I've watched it before, but it was so powerful to me, and I actually enjoyed it so much. It gave me goosebumps because I've watched it before, but for some reason the message was so much more powerful now than it ever was before. I'll link that video in the description because I think whoever watches this video, it's gonna make a lot of sense. Now, these songs that come into your mind, you know what I mean? Like we hear, you see, when you hear the words, I had the time of my life, okay? You should always be having the time of your life, because time basically is your life, okay? It's your lifespan, whatever, however long you last here, and what you do with your time, your space, you know, the moments that you're here, and the appreciation you have for whatever is in your space. Now, we're over here sometimes, and we tend to, you know, want to judge and hate each other and whatnot, and you know, and when you look at you know, people now, even in the spiritual movement, they want to, you know, have these experiences, and you know, they want to talk to aliens and whatever. But what's funny is that they won't talk to their own neighbor, like their immediate neighbor. You know what I mean? And I've noticed this because I mean, I've been at moments where, you know, people literally hate on each other and they live next door, but yet, and we also have technology, where we start to look at technology as something great, which is, and it's funny how, I mean, I had a chat with the Awakened Brave, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, he invited me to his platform to talk, and we had an amazing talk. But the dude is on the other side of the world, and yet I had such a great connection with him. But we can't have this with, you know, with your next door neighbor. But aside from that, we want to have these experiences, right? See, when I have these experiences, I'm using the medium of the internet to talk to people on the other side of the planet, right? And people want to have these experiences, and the way they do it is that they think that because the topic came up of food and all that, and then somebody asked me, you know, you contradicted yourself. You said, you know, not to eat meat, and then you say to eat meat and whatnot. Now, life is an art, okay? Now, you ever hear, this is the game of life, okay? So you're in a game, right? You see, I watch UFC, and, you know, UFC is basically MMA, mixed martial arts, okay? It's the only thing I pretty much watch, because I don't watch anything else but, and I don't keep up with anything but UFC and mixed martial arts. It's basically something that I love, and I do it myself. I love to do it. One thing about MMA, it takes, mixed martial arts requires discipline, right? But just like, you know, it's a fight game, but we're in the game of life, whatever it may be. If you're an artist, okay, you're painting, you're creating, and you're having a moment, right? Now, the crazy thing here is this: fighters will go into prep mode, competition mode. Throughout a period of time, they eat a certain way, they train a certain way, okay? They sleep and meditate a certain way. And they do this because when it's game time or game night or fight night, they need to be prepared. They need to be ready, right? But what happens after they either win, lose, or draw, right? They go back to, let's say, man, because most of the time post-fight, they say, well, I can't wait to have a cheeseburger right now, because the competition mode, their prep mode was very, very gruesome. It was very intense. It was very, they took a lot of discipline. But then there's moments where once it's done, you want to kick back and just enjoy life, right? Now, see, here's the thing. Whatever, it's not that the food, because you're beyond all that. You're above all that. Because it takes a strong mind. At the end of the day, it don't matter. See, you can get into somebody's head, okay? And emotions is very, very strong. You see, this is the thing. It don't matter how you're feeling, whether it's favorable or unfavorable. The fact is that you're feeling. That's the main thing. And this is one thing I've noticed. I actually have been, when I fasted, I ate real clean, you know what I mean? Did the whole thing. I was real disciplined. And then I decided to just pig out. But I wanted to see I wanted to see the night and day change of it. Because I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that whenever you drink stimulants such as coffee or alcohol, and when you get off of it for a while and then you go back and do it again, it feels fucking crazy. Like, it feels like you're drunker and you're more stimulated with the caffeine because you've been off of it for a while because your body gotten used to not having it, right? So, food, surprisingly, I'll tell you right now, man, I woke up like if I had a hangover. I woke up as if I had a hangover, all right? Which is fucking crazy, all right? And it makes all the sense in the world how, you know, sugars, and then if your stomach expands a little bit more, you know, the alcohol that's created in there is pretty fucking real, man, because I woke up as if I had a hangover. But what do you do in a moment like that? Do you just stay in the bed and do you just, you know, entertain the idea that you feel like that? Because what I did is I got up and I fucking just got in a cold ass shower and then forcefully yanked that feeling away from me. Now, you hear music, right? You hear music and it makes you feel a certain way, right? Like there's certain words in music that's not favorable to you. Like if you're hearing a love song and it's all full of like stupid shit, like, you know, my heart is broken, I'm nothing without it. You see, those are things you don't want, because they're like replaying a mantra in your head. You don't want to hear that in your head, you know what I mean? So you always got to be aware of the words that are playing in the songs. But there's certain songs that will bring back a certain feeling, right? Now, do you notice how, let's say for example, you take a shot of something that you're looking for stimulation from, you know, some people would be like, nah, I ain't feel nothing from that, you know what I mean? Or nah, I didn't get really much out of that. But then there's certain things you get much out of, and those are things that stimulate you, right? Those are the things that created a strong stimulation for you, right? So like music, for example, there's songs that you may hear from back in the day and they bring back a certain memory of like an ex that you may have had, or a certain memory that you may have had in a vacation that was a really, really good memory. But you see, here's the thing though. It's not to get stuck in that moment in the past. It's literally you bring and carry that emotion here and use it to what you're doing in your now moment. Whether it was, let's say, a negative feeling, because there's maybe feelings of fear, whatever it may be, whatever feeling you feel, you can use that in the now moment. I've realized that you can use everything that, and if like I said, if it could be favorable or unfavorable, it doesn't matter. You can use it in your now moment. You could use it to, you know, have some discipline, strengthen your will. You see, the fact that I felt a little off this morning, I felt really fucked up, and there's moments where I feel like I have a hangover. And what you want to do is, now this is a perfect opportunity to actually strengthen your willpower, strengthen your mind, strengthen your heart. Because here's the thing, those moments where you feel like you know, like you feel down, you can go and really build some fucking strength out of that. Because it's the opposite of what you truly want to do, is getting off your comfort zone. So you may feel, you wake up, you spring up, you feel all happy and everything. You want to live, you want to stay in that moment. You want that in your life. You know what I mean? But that creates too much comfort. Sometimes you may need these moments of stress, moments of discomfort to actually move you and propel you forward. You get what I'm saying? So there's going to be the moments where you will work out and you won't even feel pains and aches anymore, right? But then when you get off the gym for a while, you come back and the feeling is so euphoric. You see, Fire Drake did a video and he mentioned the fact that, you know, when you go and you take a break and then you go back to your body feels happy. It feels like it's like it's a feeling of euphoria. It's an amazing feeling when you go back to work out after you took a little break. You know what I mean? And here's the thing: there always has to be a balance. You know what I mean? You can't go too lazy. There has to be a balance with pretty much everything. I came out of body, you know, a couple of weeks ago. I haven't made a video in a while, because I've been in my own thing. But, you know, I came out of body, and I've even noticed the balance that has to occur even when you're out of body. Because, see, here's the thing. This is why knowledge, you know, is empower. You have power when you have a certain knowing of something. Because, and you gotta have this knowing by, you know, the knowledge that you have acquired outside of you. But then when you acquire certain knowledge outside of you, now you start to have certain knowings as you move forward with it, which is funny because, like, gardening, I didn't know anything about gardening, and then all of a sudden I started to learn about gardening. But then I didn't watch too many videos afterwards as to, you know, the pruning process and all that. For some reason, you just go into a meditative state and you just like merge with the plant. You just know where to prune and what to do. But anyway, you know, going back to the out of body experience, you know, I'm laying there in my bed, and all of a sudden I get, you know, that sleep paralysis that happens. Now, before I would just be like, okay, no, I already, like, I would fight the sleep paralysis to get out, and then it would last longer. But then there's the times where I said, no, I'm going to relax because I know it's sleep paralysis. So I know that if I just relax, it'll go away, and I'll just wake up. See, this time I did it different. I set my intention to come out of body because I knew that once you have sleep paralysis, you're about to come out of body. So, you know, I had, first of all, it started with the woo, 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 like some noises in your ear, like you're in a hole, in a vortex, in like a black hole. It's like a crazy loud, you know, it sounds like an airplane. So I let that rock. And what I did was, I literally breathed into the paralysis. And then, see, the mistake I made before, when I felt the sleep paralysis, I was trying to get up. And trying to get up is equivalent to you trying to move during the sleep paralysis. It's the same thing. So you're not trying to associate, you're disassociated with the physical body. What I did was I imagined myself getting up. The moment I did that, boom, I got up. And I was like, oh, fuck, game on, right? So I got up, but everything felt like, you know how when you move, it takes like muscle stimulation. Like you feel a certain stress just to move, just to get out of bed. You know, you get up, be like, oh man, you know. But you or even like if you're feeling springy and whatnot, there's still a certain stress. You got to stimulate, fire muscles to move you up. No, this was a springboard. Like it was just like, whoop, I just got up, and I felt light. It was just, I was like floating. And what's funny is that I'm like, I see myself sleeping, and I'm like, all right, perfect. Now I'm like trying not to. I'm maintaining a balance where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get too excited. I'm not going to get too lazy. And then, you know what I mean? I'll be okay. And my first thing was I want to go outside. So the last time I went outside when I was out of body, I'm not went outside, but I was trying to come out of my house. It was like in the middle of the night. It was black outside, but I saw the stars were beautiful. My garden looked like a fairyland. It looked amazing. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't get out of my house. This time I was able to get out of my house, right? And what's funny is that this time that I got out of my house, everything was hazy. It was gray. It looked like a haunted, like my garden was haunted. Like it was just, my plants were all there, but everything just looked gray, dull, you know what I mean? And it looked like there was like massive like fog everywhere. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. I don't give a shit. And I came out, and for some reason, as I'm walking out, now I see my dog passing by me, and I'm like, all right. I mean, it felt mundane now. Now it felt, because this is what I do every morning. I get out, I walk in the same position, you know, the same walkway, and I'm walking my dog. So I feel like I must have created my dog just because I was used to that mundane action, and I incorporated that in my out-of-body experience. So I'm looking at my dog, and I'm like, wait a second. And it felt so fucking real that I even forgot that I'm like, now I was starting to doubt if I was still out of body, because I was like, is this actually happening? So I went and I touched one of my pencil trees, and it felt weird. So I'm like, no, I'm still out of body. And I also knew I was out of body because my dog turned around to look at me, and half of his face was like, it was missing. I don't know. It was just weird, but it was like a skeletal type. And it was like here. It was just like this was missing. So I was like, all right, that's weird. And you know, whatever. maintained the balance and whatnot. I came out, right? And I'm looking around. There's no people. There's nothing. I'm talking about deserted. Usually I see people. I see something. But this was just completely abandoned. It looked abandoned. So I was like, all right, cool. Now I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm out of my body. And as I'm looking around, I'm feeling the experience, but I felt it from my midsection. I started to think of my body. Boom, I popped back in. I was like, motherfucker, man. So I did it right throughout the whole time where I didn't get too excited. But if I got way too calm, I would fall, because this happened to me before, where I'll fall asleep into this out of body experience. I'll just fall asleep. I forgot I was out of body. It's funny, but when you come out of body, it feels so real, as if I'm like literally experiencing this right now, which leads me to think this may be just another motherfucking dream. And it is. But there's certain things that, because we look at it like that, we start to say to ourselves, oh, it's only a dream. So we start to really not want to pay attention to anything that's outside of us, when in actuality, that's completely the opposite of what you should be doing. Here's the thing. Everything starts with a thought. Everything that you have created starts with a thought. And the funny thing is notice how certain systems are more noticeable by some people than others, which is why some people may see this world as a heaven. Some people may see it as a hell. But like systems of oppression, systems of like, you know, people trying to get one over on you, or systems of like whatever it may be. Some people are more aware of that than others. But that's because your vibration is what you're making a frequency match to what you're going to experience in your life right here. Okay? It's just like, you know, when you're sick, right? Certain systems may start to present themselves in an unfavorable way, right? If you have a shitty diet, your digestive system is going to start to bother you. You know what I mean? If you have a very acidic diet, or you put your body through certain type of abuses, your skeletal and your joints, that system is going to start to present itself to you in an unfavorable way. Okay? So think of it like this. It's the same thing outside of you. If you start to see certain, you know, systems of oppression, certain things like that's because you're doing something that is causing that to manifest into your life. Okay? So everything is literally something that is thought of by you and perceived by you a certain way. So a lot of people, for example, want to talk about the food part with me, but why are you putting so much energy into what you're eating? You're way above that. Do you think that because you eat a certain way, you're going to be super fucking advanced and more super spiritual than me? Or super? No, it doesn't work like that. Okay? Because you see, you're above everything. See, even like I got into a topic of astrology. You see, this is the thing. I don't discredit astrology, but there's certain people who, you know, they'll be like, you're this, you're that, sun, moon, sun, this, and then that's what they live their life by that. Oh yeah, no, I'm this, I'm that. But you keep saying, I'm this, I'm that. You're more than that. You could be anything you want, but you're going to subject yourself to just being just that. You get what I'm saying? You were born in a specific moment in time. Recognize that, yeah, that's what you are in frequency with, you know what I mean? Or that's where you are. That's just knowing that that's where you were manifested from, that point in space and time. And for those astrologers, you know what I mean? If anybody's into astrology, I don't discredit astrology. I happen to think there's a lot of validity to astrology. I just don't put too much of my attention to it. It's not something that I've ever been really into. You get what I'm saying? But that can change later on. I may get into it because it's just something that I may want to explore later on. But it's not something that because you see, I was talking to somebody and I'm into certain things and the other person's not into other things. You get what I'm saying? But this is the beauty part of it, is that we can build just because we have something of common, in common of a certain thing. You know what I mean? Even though I may be into one thing, the other person may be into another thing. That's where we can kind of build or connect. But some people will look at it to debate, you know what I mean? Or be like, or no, you know, discredit it, you know what I mean? And it's not about that, because in this realm, I noticed that everything works. You know what I mean? There's people who say they're healing off a meat diet. I don't know how the fuck that's possible in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But it's working for them. So if it's working, then let it be. Why would I tell them, no, that's the improper way? But if it's actually working for you, then keep doing it. right? Now, I happen to notice this about myself. I changed completely to not eating meat at all, right? And it benefited me. It really did benefit me. And then I went back to eating it, right? And I felt a certain way. I actually felt, I didn't feel any less spiritual, okay? But I did feel like my body filled in and I got strong. I did feel stronger, and I felt like my body got warmer. My body temperature was lower. My fingers were starting to get colder. I was starting to feel, you know how women are always cold? I was starting to get cold. That's where you know there's an imbalance, because you see, we're nature, for example, even with nature, people start to talk about nature, right? People say become one with nature. You being one with nature is not you going outside and looking at nature like if it's your God, like I mentioned before with the sun. And this is where people go wrong. Being one with nature, first of all, is totally the opposite of what you would even think. You see, nature is self-sustaining. Nature doesn't need anything to survive, right? Are you like that? Right? Think about it like this. For you to be beyond this realm, you would have to be one with nature, meaning that you would need nothing outside of yourself, meaning no food, you would need nothing. Because nature is self-sustaining. We get in nature's way, the same way we get into the body, get in the way of the body. But we associate ourselves with the body, and we think that it's all about the body, when in actuality, all right, you are actually training your spirit. You're not just training your body, you're training your spirit as well, everything you do. That's why, like, you got fighters like Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov. This guy, Conor McGregor, is the biggest shit talker in the world. He gets into people's heads, but he couldn't get into Khabib's head. Khabib got a strong-ass fucking mind. A really strong mind. And he ain't letting none of that bother him. You know what I mean? But until after the fight, that's when he flipped out and he went American Bald Eagle on everybody and did that's why they call him the Eagle. You know what I mean? Well, he was always called the Eagle, but he definitely embodied the Eagle, because he went and flew off the cage on top of, Dylan Dennis, who's one of Conor McGregor's teammates. But you know what I mean? Like you gotta have fun with the art. I mean, I went all over the place with this video, but you know what it is that I had a lot on my mind and I wanted to cover a lot of topics. So I'm going to organize certain topics, because I got a few videos that I'm going to talk about. You know, if you're not having the time of your life, if you're not having a good time out here, I don't know what the fuck, you know what I mean? And there's a powerful message in the video that I'm going to link in the description. But, you know, I'm going to quickly read that to you, because I happen to think it was beautiful, and it made a lot of sense. So give me a second. All right. So the first one is, those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Friedrich Nietzsche. I don't know what his last name is, but you'll see it in the video. And then, appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Now, powerful. I've watched this video before and it didn't do what it did to me today. You get what I'm saying? And this is proof that you're always at different frequencies. You're always at different levels. There's certain things that may be useful to you at certain times, and certain times it may not be useful to you. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to put up the video with the chat I did with the Awakened Brave. It's like a 2-hour video. So I'll probably upload these first, and a couple of other videos I want to upload first, and then I'll upload, that chat, which I thought was powerful, man. It was great, and I didn't resonate with the Awakened Brave the way I did in this video before. And again, we all change. We all go through we play a different song, and it's just the way it is. Don't judge a book by its cover. In actuality, man.